Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. So today I want to bring you guys a quick video about my recent flying experience, and also I want to talk a little bit about de-escalating. Recently on Instagram, when I was on this trip, I brought up the whole like getting overstimulated and what I do to de-escalate, and it really struck up a conversation of like what others do as well. That was over on Instagram. So if you want to hear more from me as far as like more on the daily, you can find me over on Instagram at newlifesparrow23. But I felt like, you know what, this might be a good thing to just kind of put in a video. But I want to preface this by saying what works for me may not work for you right now. You know, that's something I need to stress so much, because the thing is, when it comes to PPPD or vestibular migraines or other vestibular disorders and just similar situations, people are all at different levels. There are certain things that people can handle and certain things that people can't yet. And I just need you all to remember, where I'm at now, you may not be. And so some of these things I say to you may not work for you, but I like to share this stuff because it might be helpful for some of you. And so just always keep that in mind. All of our bodies are different. Some of our symptoms are worse than others for other people. So like I said, keep an open mind with what I share with you guys, okay? So recently I went on, it was actually a work trip. It wasn't so much for fun. My husband's been working a lot, and so I was able to go with him on this trip. So we had to fly to Minneapolis, Minnesota for one night, and then the next day we had to fly to Salt Lake City, Utah for the rest of the week. And I just came along to take a break from my normal life, and I think that's healthy as well. Thankfully, my mom came. She took care of my boys for me, and I have teenage kids, for those of you that are wondering. And I just kind of got away and took some time for myself, and it was good. I felt really decent on this trip, and so I just kind of wanted to talk about a couple things that came up and things that I've noticed with where I'm at now. Little backstory, if this is your first time watching me, I was diagnosed with PPPD. I've been dealing with it for about 2.5 years now. Also, I was diagnosed with PMDD. And so that's been a journey too. I'll just leave that there. So I've worked really hard to get where I'm at, and there are just certain things that I've noticed. Since being diagnosed, I have been on a few flights, and this one I found definitely has been the easiest thus far. I did excellent on the plane, guys. I did so well. But I'm gonna be real with you on a couple of things that were a little bit challenging with where I'm at right now. So when I was in the airport, of course, it's busy. There's people, crowds, a lot of lighting, and we're doing a lot of walking and all that stuff. I didn't feel 100%, but I was okay. I didn't have a moment of like, oh my gosh, I can't even do this. I need to retreat and run away. That not even once even came to my mind, because I expose myself to hard situations and people and groups and stuff all the time. So it's getting easier. If anything, my eyes and the focusing in on everything, that's kind of my biggest challenge yet. If anything, there was just a couple of times I had to tell my husband, you know, slow down, you're walking a little bit too fast for me. Because then if I'm walking faster, it's, you know, my heart, you know, obviously, you know, it's almost like working out sometimes when you're going through an airport, and it's like my heart started racing too much, and I'm like, that's gonna start elevating me. And I don't want that to happen, because I want to stay in a chill, in a calm place. If we don't have to rush, we're not gonna rush. And he flies all the time, so he's used to zooming through the airports. And so I just had to remind him, I'm like, hey, slow down a bit. Your girl needs some time to just like take her time through the airport. And it worked for me. My one challenge, I will say, But it's cool because I did not retreat from doing it. I knew that both of these airports have these things. Now, I don't know if it's going to be called the same thing in every airport, but they're called trams. They're like basically underground little train, subway, little things that take you from one terminal to another really quick like. And I'm not the biggest fan of those yet. Yes, we could have avoided it and walked the whole way, but that's ridiculous. I am always pro, like, we need to do things that challenge us and maybe scare us a little bit to get over that fear. And that is one for me. I had to do it 3 or 4 times, I believe. And, yeah, I didn't love it, but I did it. And I had to remember, I'm like, Monica, you are only in this thing for about 30 seconds. You can handle this. And I did it, and it didn't make me feel worse. I'm just not quite the biggest fan of it yet. As far as the flight went, it was good. I honestly, except for my very last flight coming home, and I'm gonna talk about that here in a second, because it's gonna like lead me into my next part of what I want to talk about in this video. But the flight to Minneapolis, super quick, super easy, felt totally fine. And then the next day we flew to Salt Lake City. Once again, easy flight, felt just fine, handled most things just fine. Just, you know, just so you guys know too, I wasn't completely symptom free. I'm never symptom free yet. Someday I will be, but I wasn't overstimulated. I'll say that. I was never completely overstimmed where I'm like, I can't handle this. Until the flight coming home from Salt Lake City. So this time we had to fly from Salt Lake City into Denver. That was a quick, easy flight. We experienced some turbulence coming into Denver that, yeah, was not awesome, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit, but it was like, it did not last long. And that was more of a, it didn't like escalate my symptoms or anything like that. It just kind of scared me a little bit, you know, but I got over it really quick. You know, I just don't experience a lot of turbulence. So for me, you know, it startled me. I'll put it that way. And then we had to fly from Denver back home to Bismarck, North Dakota. And here, once we got into Denver, we were only supposed to have a 1-hour layover and then our flight home to Bismarck. Well, you know, things happen. If you are a frequent flyer, you know, either planes get delayed or something happens. And long story short, there was a light out on the plane. It was an extra 3 hours that we sat in the airport. And by the time we were ready to take off, it was dark by then. We originally were supposed to be home at 8 p.m. and we did not get back into Bismarck until a little bit after 11 p.m. that day. So those are one of those things that you have to realize when you are traveling. And basically what I'm trying to say is not everything's gonna go how you expect or plan, and you have to be able to handle those situations. Spending an extra couple hours in the airport is never fun, but I was doing okay. You know, I just visited with my husband, you know, we ate something better, you know, instead of just like junk food or whatever, you know, snacky kind of food, I should say. And so I was okay. I wasn't anxious. I wasn't anything like that. At this point, I'm just getting kind of tired and I was ready to be home. Okay, so we finally board the plane to head home. And I have to say, like, this is another thing. Like, I used to be terrified of really small planes. Like, my husband would have to, like, back in the day, before we would go anywhere, he would actually have to check out and see how big the plane was before we booked a trip, because like I wouldn't even go. I don't know, I was just scared of them for some reason, but I'm not anymore. So Like seriously, I've overcome so many things in my life, guys. Okay, so anyways, this plane was itty bitty. It probably sat maybe 40, maybe. That's probably even pushing it. It was small, guys. It was really small. And it's dark outside, and they got us loaded up really quick because they knew we had been waiting 3 hours. And we get on the plane, and he backed up from the gate, and then we sat there for the longest time, and they didn't say anything. And I know sometimes it takes a while, you know, because other planes have to take off, but usually they'll say something like, we've got a few planes ahead of us and we'll be out of here in a matter of whatever. But no, there was nothing. And I was just like, you know, like I said, this is where things started changing for me. So we're sitting waiting for our turn to take off or whatever, and I wasn't hearing anything. And this little itty bitty plane, I didn't feel unsafe in it. I never once felt like, oh, this plane, like something's gonna happen to it. It's none of that, okay? But this plane, when it was in its idle mode, kind of like shook a little bit, and I had to ask my husband, I'm like, do you feel that too, or is it just me? But if you deal with like dizziness, anything that kind of like moving just even a little bit, you know, we're a little bit more sensitive to it. And we were sitting there for about 15-20 minutes, and I just sat in this slightly like kind of state of this plane kind of just like jiggling a little bit, and I started not feeling so good. I'm like, oh my gosh, this sucks, you know. I'm like, can we just take off already? You know, because it's like an hour flight, that's it. And so anyways, we finally get going. But here I was already starting to not feel very well from that, because it just kind of triggered a little bit. And I'm not gonna lie, I started feeling panicky as we were taking off. It was not a smooth takeoff. It was just, and what made it more hard, my husband knew, like, I was not trying to not like panic or freak out. Like I said, I wasn't scared of the plane. It wasn't anything like that. I just wasn't feeling good. Like all of a sudden, like everything just started increasing. And usually I would look out the window. So I've talked about this before. Like if you're feeling certain symptoms, sometimes you need to gaze and fix your eyes out further, like look bigger. Don't be so focused in on little things like this or on your phone. Sometimes it's better to literally like if I was up in the plane and it was light out, I could see far and like look way out. And for me, that personally really, really helps me, because they did find that my eyes need to get better with fixations, which means focusing on one little thing kind of like closer is kind of sets me off a little bit more. So I know like, okay, I need to look at something really far away. Well, here I'm in a plane, it's dark outside, and I'm actually feeling panicky, which I have not felt that way honestly since I first had gotten sick. And here I'm like, great, I'm in a plane and I'm starting to feel this way. Now some of you are probably wondering why I'm sharing this with you. And it is definitely not to put fear in you, but I felt to share this story with you because of what I'm about to tell you. Is it is possible to self-soothe and to de-escalate from symptoms without medication. It is no surprise to most people if you've been following me for a while now. I had medication in my purse. I could have popped an Ativan, that's what I have, and if I need it, and I could have, well, not instantly, it takes a little while to kick in, but I could have made that all go away, but I didn't. And so that is what I want to talk about just for the next couple of minutes, and I'm going to wind this video down. I want to talk to you about de-escalating and and just how to self-soothe when you are in a situation that is not pleasant. I have to say this though, and remind you guys, just like at the beginning of this video, I've worked hard to get where I'm at. I didn't just learn all these tools and techniques overnight. This has been a 2-year process for me to get me to where I'm at now. So I want you guys to keep that in mind when you're hearing this, because I'm trying to choose my words wisely here. I just want you guys to feel hopeful that you don't have to use medication as like a go-to. No shame if you do, because obviously I have it for a reason. And but I want to let you guys know basically that there are other options. And the more you do these things, or these little, I'm going to talk about them here in a second and it'll make more sense. Over time, it gets easier. And guys, to my surprise, after I did these things, I was not panicking anymore and I was totally fine within about 15 minutes. Now, for me, that is quicker than that Ativan could have kicked in. So I'm going to talk about de-escalating, and what de-escalating means literally in the dictionary. It means to decrease in intensity. So here, my symptoms and even panic and anxiety were at an intense level, and I needed to de-escalate. And so I'm gonna read off my thing here. So, because how this started for me is, I'm gonna kind of give you a little scenario. So, all of a sudden, because of this motion, my dizziness increased, which led to an increase in anxiety, which led to an increase in nausea, which led to like pressure and head pain, which led to fatigue, cognitive issues, visual issues, and you know, it's just a spiral effect of what happens. And so here I'm in that place and I need to come down. I normally would not do this, but this was the first thing I did. I normally never use my oils on a plane out of respect for other people that may not like smells or things like that. I didn't actually put it on my skin, but I took my lavender out. And I like smelled it like from the bottle. Like I didn't actually pour some into my palm like I usually do. Thankfully too, there wasn't anybody sitting behind us, and then there was just this younger girl to our right. So I just took my oil out and I just took deep breaths. So those of you guys know, I use lavender all the time. It is my go-to. It really does help relax me. And I started taking deep breaths, like in through my nose and out my mouth. If you're not familiar with deep breathing, I would suggest practicing it and learning to deep breathe in challenging situations, because you literally can get yourself to calm down from that. Okay. Body scanning. I don't actually call it body scanning. I will link my last video for you guys to watch, because I actually talk about that, how if you're not feeling grounded, I talk all about that in my last video, so you can go check that out. Drink something. As soon as they were gonna come by with the you know, if you wanted like a pop or some water or whatever, drinking things I find help a lot of people. Usually cold stuff. I'm just from other people I've talked to as well. I know it personally helps me and it helps others as well. Drinking something, because for me, like when I drink ice cold water, just feeling it inside my body just makes me feel again. Some people are gonna understand that. I'm not gonna spend too much time explaining it. The biggest thing though is to reroute your focus and do something you love. Well, here I'm on an airplane, so I didn't have many options. They didn't have like in-flight movies because it's a itty bitty plane and it was a short flight. And so I did have my tablet and my phone, and I do have a game on my phone that I really enjoy playing. And so I played my game. I got my focus off of the anxiety, and like I said, I did my oils, I did a little bit of a body scan thing, I did some deep breathing, I got some water in me, and I started playing my game. And I literally went from almost like panic attack to like completely fine in 15 minutes, and I'm not even exaggerating. And a couple other things, if this isn't happening on an airplane, this is just like you're overstimmed in general and you just need to come down, just go lay down for a little bit. Go relax, go, like if you're able to watch TV, go watch a movie that you enjoy or something for a while. There's no shame in that, okay? And pray. I pray. I'll be honest, that's the first thing I did when I started feeling that. And I sometimes when I'm in that state of where it's so bad, I just simply just say, Lord, help me. Lord, help me. I don't do anything without him or including him in my life. A lot of you guys know that I'm a Christian, and so I definitely don't try to get through hard circumstances without him and his comfort and his presence. And so so yeah, I'm just gonna go through these things really quick. Oils, deep breathing, body scans, drink something, reroute your focus, prayer, relax, take a little nap if you can, remove yourself from where, like I said, this, obviously I couldn't get off the plane, so but say you're at home or if you're at the store and you are totally overstimmed and you've hit your max, you need to remove yourself from that place and go somewhere else. Don't retreat all the time, but your body needs to learn how to, like, okay, I felt, you know, I'm feeling overstimmed and I've kind of reached my limit here, but I need to learn how to de-escalate. And so it takes practice. I also call this incremental training. I talk about this a lot on Instagram. Literally, I try to go to a store every single day to get my brain used to environments and to people and to grocery stores. And I've said this a million times, if it was normal before, it can be normal again. And so I'm gonna wind this down because it's already been about a couple minutes, not a couple minutes, about 22 minutes or so. I just want to remind you guys though, I didn't share that story to scare you guys from flying. I wanted to share it with you guys to empower you, to let you guys know that, you know, sometimes things aren't gonna go according to plan. We never know when things are just gonna get bad, or we're gonna be in a situation that we just really don't want to be in or we didn't see coming. But can we handle it if it does? And that's why I wanted to share it, is to empower you and to let you guys know that we have everything within us to be able to conquer situations that are not awesome. So I'm gonna stop rambling now. I love you guys. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up.